Hi everyone, and welcome to this mini yoga session. I'm bringing it to you from my childhood home, so I have this beautiful background and bird song with me. Happy to share it with you. And today's mini yoga session is going to focus on sitting with discomfort, on practicing sitting with discomfort. And that's something that, right now in the world, most of us are facing some level of discomfort, of uncertainty. And, we had coronavirus, and now we have this civil rights movement that's happening. And all of us are trying to understand, and hopefully, what it means for us, what it means for the world, how we can take action, how we can look within ourselves to understand our role. And I really wanted to do this class to help stay in that space of discomfort, because this space of discomfort is really what helps lead us to change. When we're comfortable and really feeling certain, we're not really often looking to make change, right? So this is a good thing that we're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and yoga is a place to safely practice being uncomfortable and uncertain, and how to make space around that and breathe through that, so that we can take it off the mat and into the world and feel a little bit more grounded in our place of stability, even in the midst of change, and a little bit more calm and able to deal with discomfort that comes up in a responsible manner, rather than a reactionary one. So one of the best ways that I found to bring discomfort onto the yoga mat, which is where we practice yoga, and we do real yoga off the mat and in the world. One of the best ways I've found to do that on the mat is to get upside down. And it is literally flipping our world upside down and breathing into the discomfort of that. It is possible to get uncomfortable in that place, but most of us aren't really comfortable upside down, using just our hands for support. So we're going to practice that today, and it's a place. I'm going to give you an option for every level, and so using it as a way to make yourself uncomfortable in a controlled way, so that you can practice breathing into it, so that you can really begin to discover the roots of what comes up for you when you're uncomfortable. What are the feelings that underlie that discomfort, and maybe where they come from. You can start to look into that more and more, with the more space that you create around it. But more than anything, just recognizing that feeling in you, and then knowing that you have the ability to breathe through it, that you have the ability to sit with it without running away from it, because you've practiced it in a controlled place on your mat. So let's dive into that. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to do a little warm up, and then we'll dive right into the upside down part. We're going to start in Tadasana, bringing your feet together at the top of the mat, your hands to your heart, and find that place of rooted groundedness. So you feel your feet spreading out across the entire foot. You breathe into this sensation of stability, of your feet firmly planted on the ground, the roots growing down. Envision them growing down into the earth from your feet, really rooting you. And then knowing that as you breathe and extend up through the crown of the head, that you can withstand the winds of change, that you can even take part in them, because you are firmly rooted and you have the space to evolve. Bringing the arms up deep, inhale, sweeping them up. And then exhale, bringing them into the heart, bend the knees, roll forward. Keep the knees slightly bent and sway side to side.
really lifting up through the sit bones so you can feel that lengthening through the back of the legs. And then we're going to bend the knees and roll up through center. Arms reach up overhead. And exhale, hands come to the heart. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, diving forward. This time, plant the hands on the floor or your shins. Inhale, scoop the chest through, squeezing shoulder blades back so that you're opening up through the heart. Exhale, forward fold, plant the hands, step back into plank position. In plank position, knees can be up or down, but keep the back really strong, really lifted between the shoulder blades, behind the abdominals. And then you can bring the knees down or leave them up, but squeeze the elbows in alongside your rib cage as you lower down, firmly planting through your entire hand, both sides. Shoulders move away from the ground, away from the ears as your elbows bend right alongside the rib cage. Hands walk slightly forward. Inhale, pull the chest through, squeezing shoulder blades together, and let's stay here for another deep, full breath. On your exhale, you'll pull the chest through, lowering down. Pushing back into down dog. Inhale, sweep the left foot up, extend it straight back so your pelvis is remaining parallel to the ground, and you're reaching out through the ball of the foot so that you can find some opening through the hip joint. And then bend the knee, open up through the hip, maybe making some circles through the knee, both directions. And extend that leg out, open up, and then bring your hips parallel to the ground again. Reaching out, bend the knee, guiding that foot all the way between the hands. You can use your hands to help it forward if you need to. Bring that back knee down and then sweep your arms up, reaching out, really pulling that left hip back so you're opening through the front of the right hip, extending out, deep inhale, and on your exhale, you'll bring your hands down, stepping back into plank, lowering down, really shoulders moving away from the ear, away from the floor, pulling the chest through, feeling that opening around the heart. And then as you exhale, you're guiding the heart forward, still lowering down. Press back into down dog. Inhaling, the right leg lifts, extend out through the ball of the foot. Feel that same hip joint opening. Like you're helping to pull that ball out of the socket gently as you reach back. Bend the knee, open up through the hip, making those circles around the hip in both directions. And then opening up through that leg, bringing it parallel to the ground, reaching back again, and then bringing that foot up between the hands. Back knee comes down, arms reach up, sinking forward, but keep that right hip pulling back. And on your next exhale, hands come down. We'll step straight back into down dog. And in down dog, lift the heels as much as you need to, bending the knees to really lift up through the sit bones. Keep that lift through the sit bones pointing straight up to the sky, but wrap your shoulder blades around the chest, maybe bending the elbows slightly, and then begin to guide the heels down so that you can lengthen through the back of the legs, but keep the hips lifted. And then bring the knees down, sitting back onto your heels. So now we're moving into the upside down portion. And like I said, there's a place for each level. So you will come into either down dog, one leg lifted like we did on the ground, but we're gonna have your feet pressing in, the foot that's lifted, pressing into the wall so that you can practice lifting off that bottom foot, just beginning to get used to
the weight coming into the hands. And that might be uncomfortable for you. What I'm going to show you these levels and really challenge yourself to move into your place of discomfort. So just greeting discomfort and then edging into it as you feel more and more comfortable doing. So, you know, if you're comfortable somewhere, push yourself a little bit into the next place of discomfort. Okay, so here's level 1. We're going to come into down dog with your body pretty close to the wall. Wrap the shoulders in toward the chest. Press firmly into all parts of the hands. And then you're lifting one leg up like you would for one-legged down dog. And then you're pressing that foot into the wall. And you're going to practice in that really strong down dog position, pressing into the wall and just beginning to lift the bottom foot off the ground, right? And so that's going to, for those of you who are really new to bringing weight into your hands, going upside down, that will begin to play with that discomfort. So you'll hold here and breathe. A few deep breaths. Switch sides and then hold for a few deep breaths. If that begins to feel comfortable, walk your hands in so that they're a little bit closer to the wall. Bring that foot up and same thing. Play with lifting, maybe beginning to lift a little bit higher, holding that foot off the ground for a few deep breaths. Now, if you're pretty comfortable in that place, then you're going to make a full 90-degree angle. And you'll find where to put your hands by bringing your foot, your feet, your legs into 90-degree angle with the one foot up the wall. And then your hands are going to go where your foot is. So I'm going to bring my hands right to about where my foot was. And then I'm going to walk up the wall and come into this 90-degree angle. You can always practice here, or you can practice one leg up and then switch sides. Inevitably, if this is new for you, most people feel like they're going to topple forward. And so the instinct is to walk the feet further up the wall than the 90 degrees, or to walk the hands out. So walking the hands out is an option, but really, as you're moving toward it, but seek to find that 90-degree angle. It will feel scary at first, and that is the point. So know that you won't topple forward because most of your weight is this direction with your legs this way. But know that that is going to be the sensation if you haven't done this before, that you're going to fall over backward. So trust and maybe work your way into it gradually so that you can develop that trust in your hands. So right now, pick one of the places and we're going to do it together for 6 breaths. After that, I would do it a second time if you have the time and space for it. It's always good to practice it a couple times. You develop that first layer of trust and then right away move back into it and remind yourself, yeah, that was okay. And use really deep breaths as you're doing this, where you can really center yourself, where you can feel that same rooted strength through your hands in connection with the ground that you felt with your feet in Tadasana, that's possible to feel that same foundation because it is the same connection with the earth through your hands. So find one of those levels. We're going to move into it for 6 deep breaths, deep, full, long breaths. And so you're either in that extended down dog on the wall where you're playing with lifting your foot up, you're in the 90-degree angle, both feet on the wall, or you're in the 90-degree angle, one leg lifted. Okay, let's jump into it. Remember, centered, long, deep breaths. Notice if your mind starts to flutter with panic, with fear, and let yourself sit in that. Let yourself breathe into that. Notice the urge to maybe run away from it or to distract yourself or to want to come out, and see if you can practice just sitting with it. Okay, 6 deep breaths, finding your place. Here we go.
And then beginning to come down. We'll stop there. Moving into it one more time, but knowing that this is something you can just practice, even maybe once a day, especially during these times where you're being asked to evolve and asked to change. Practicing this so that, again, you can just keep getting more and more comfortable with discomfort.
Thanks for joining me today for this mini yoga session, practicing sitting with discomfort, moving in discomfort, and just being with it on the mat so that you can get a hold of it and make space for it, and then practice it so that you can take it into the world and really be okay with it, and be okay with the discomfort so that you can help make the change, so that you can be the change and take that into the world because you've practiced it on your mat. So I want to finish and leave you with this quote from Pema Chodron. Life is a good teacher and a good friend. Things are always in transition. If we could only realize it. Nothing ever sums itself up in the way that we like to dream about. The off-center, in-between state is an ideal situation. A situation in which we don't get caught and we can open our hearts and minds beyond limit. So, keeping that in mind, that as you move forward, as you take your practice off the mat and into the world, that we do have the capacity for change, that we have the space to evolve, and that we can practice that and then take it out into the world. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.